Hi, Marjorie.
Hi.
Put South Surrey Rotary Club. See, very good.
Okay, thank you everybody for turning out tonight. My name's Al. I'm the Zoom technical host for tonight. And some of you may laugh at that because you know me well enough to know I'm not a technical person really, but I'm here helping Brad because Brad cannot plug in a vacuum cleaner correctly. So I'm here to help him do that. And we will work our way through the Zoom presentation tonight. Thank you for coming. I have a couple of slides I'm going to talk about just to open the session up. Some housekeeping. Once Brad starts to talk, if everybody could mute, that would be great. And you can put questions into chat. I'll be a moderator and I'll make sure the questions come forward to Brad at the end or in the middle if we have to. And then Brad has time at the end for some Q&A. So tonight's session is a new member session. I'm going to attempt to share a screen here. We have a screen. Okay, that's a good time. Okay, everybody see that?
Yeah.
A couple of thumbs up. Okay. So tonight is under the Fiesta Learning for all of April. There's quite a few sessions going on. Tonight is a session targeted at new members, new presidents, and membership chairs to talk about, how do we incorporate new members? What resources are available? And our illustrious past District Governor Brad Whittaker will be our host tonight to speak about this. A little bit about how we're going forward here is the president-elects in your clubs are going to be working on action plans to try to improve your clubs. And some of the areas you're going to work around is membership. And you may want to help them do this because in some of the areas of membership as a new member, you may have ideas about how to welcome members in and what they should be doing going forward. So this will be a club activity to look at plans to improve clubs. From a Rotary perspective, there's a couple of major areas we're working on. We want to increase our impact in the community. We want to expand our reach beyond the club. We want to enhance participant engagement. And that's through the members and the people in our community. And also we want to change the ability to adapt quickly with our club, throw out some rule books, go out there and help people, have fun, engage, and move forward. So with that, I'm going to introduce Brad formally. He's the immediate past district governor. He was of District 5050, our district. He was last year. He's a member of the Rotary Club of Chilliwack. And he has volunteered as part of the membership committee to come and talk to us tonight. And we also have past District Governor Dennis Boyd, who heads up the membership committee. He's on here as well. And he'll be participating in some of the Q&A as we go forward. So I'm going to stop my share here. I'll ask people to mute if they're not already muted. And Brad, go ahead and share away.
Can you all see that?
Nope.
No,
We practiced this. Come on, Brad.
it just worked. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Okay, let me try this again.
That's okay. We all been here, Brad. This happens all the time.
Oops. Actually, I know how to plug in a vacuum cleaner. I'm still amazed at how it goes out. The cord goes in by itself and you just press a button. Okay, share screen.
There we go. Something's coming up.
How's that?
Good.
That work?
Yep.
Okay, again, thank you all for coming tonight, and thanks for Al for being the tech person, and welcome to past District Governor Dennis Boyd, our district membership chair. I'm going to try and do something, Al, that you said Q&A at the end. If you have questions at any time, just raise your hand, use the electronic one. If you don't know how to do that, you can wave and ask during the session itself, a little more interactive than me talking to you. And I'd like to welcome Robin Curtis from my club, who's going to speak to you a little later tonight. Robin had the AstraZeneca shot and she has a fever of 101, but she's a dedicated Rotarian, so she's with us today. Thank you, Robin. Okay, let's see if this works. Just what I plan to do is give you a bigger overview. Now, some of you may have gone through some of the your club orientations. And I just want to make that larger, make a picture larger for you to understand Rotary itself and the many opportunities that you have within Rotary. And I'm telling you now as new Rotarians that I think Stephanie's been in Rotary for 1 month now. Don't wait like I did for 2 or 3 years and find out, oh, I didn't notice what happened. I would have done that sooner. So I'm going to give you a bit of background in the whole global situation and opportunities for you to take advantage of. And also, I'm sure each of you have expectations about Rotary, and we'll make sure we fulfill those expectations. So you can see how many clubs we have in the world, how many districts. Districts are like District 50/50, excuse me. And we have 527 of them now. And then a number of districts make up zones just for governance issues. Our zone is zone 28, which is all of Canada, and a few of the districts like ours that go across the United States, also in that zone 28. Now I have to ask Dennis if you see me saying something wrong or incorrect. He's a much older district governor than I am, and he knows more about it. So jump in anytime, Dennis.
Sounds good.
Now, Rotary, as we know, is for adults, but we also have Rotaract clubs. And now Rotaractors are 18 to 30 years old, and they've extended that limit, I believe. But now Rotaractors can also become Rotarians. They can actually have dual citizenship in Rotary if you like. And in our Rotaract clubs around the world, you can see the numbers there, number of people, number of clubs in 184 countries. We also have Interact clubs, which are 12 to 18 years old. And obviously these come out of high school. Some are operated within one high school. Others, like in Chilliwack, we have 3 high schools coming together in one Interact club. And both the Rotaract clubs and Interact clubs are sponsored by Rotary clubs. They must have a sponsored Rotary club in order to do that. And you can, if you don't have one in your club, you can start one up. We started our Interact club just a few years ago. We have about 25 to 30 people in there, and they do a lot of great stuff. I wanted to point this out to you because in this slide, it shows the actual governance structure. The most important people are you. You as an individual Rotarian are the most important person in Rotary. That's why we have it at the top. And your clubs are most important. So everything is underneath the 1.2 million Rotarians. Everything under that is actually to support you as a Rotarian and your club. That whole inverted pyramid, all the rest of it's just to support you. The district's here to support you. The zone, the Rotary International president is all here to support you. Now, our district is our motto. We have 50% American, 50% Canadian, 100% Rotarian is our motto. And we go, if you look at the little map there on the right, you can see we go from Hope in the east out to Coquitlam, Port Moody, and down south to Everett. And further, there's a bigger map here, but I'm not sure how well you can see it. We go from Hope, as I say, to Port Coquitlam, Port Moody, all the way down to Everett and east to Monroe. I'm not sure if that's the eastern part, as east as it goes. So that gives you an idea of our district. And in District 50/50, we have 56 Rotary clubs, 2,357 Rotarians at the moment. That changes daily. And thank you for joining and increasing that number, because now I think we're more since you've joined, especially since Stephanie's just been here for a month. I'm sure she's 2,358 now. We have 9 Rotaract clubs and 82 Rotaractors. Now, the goal for tonight is to give you this background and to give you opportunities to take advantage of Rotary, as I'll say. The goal is for you to get the most out of Rotary. And I can tell you that as a Rotarian, when I joined, and I joined very late, I was 50 years old, and someone said, Rotary will change your life. And I sort of smiled inwardly and said, yeah, well, I've been around the block a few times. I don't think so. And about 2 years later, Rotary had changed my life. And that goes back to 2002. So I want you to get the most out of Rotary. Take advantage of what's there. And there is a saying that one person in our club said, you get more out of Rotary than you put in. And added to that, the last time you got to say no was when you said yes to Rotary. So that's the other little bit. So as we go through this, Rotary is made up of a number of programs. We have Rotary International, and it has its own foundation. And we donate to that foundation as our foundation. And from that foundation, we give money to the foundation, and it comes back to us in different ways. And one is through district grants, that we have smaller grants of about $10,000 US that each of your clubs can have access to and apply for each year. We have international grants, which your club has about $30,000. Doesn't have to be one club, it can be many clubs. So the Rotary Foundation is our foundation to do good in the world. Essentially, that's it, to do good in the world. And you know, hopefully you've heard of the polio eradication that we've been doing for the late 80s. And I'm not sure, but I keep seeing this number that we only have 2 so far in the world, one in Afghanistan and one in Pakistan, for the only 2 cases this year. So we're really trying to get it down to 0. From 350,000 cases each year when we started, and if hopefully that's true, only 2 now. So that is amazing, only 2 countries. I'm going to tell you that I would really encourage you to go and join My Rotary. If you Google My Rotary, you'll find it'll take you there, and you click on that to get to that part, and you just say to you want to join, you want to accept the app, join into the Rotary, My Rotary system. Now this provides you with a lot of opportunities, and one of it is the Rotary Learning Center. I'm sorry, I have the English Center there, the RE instead of the ER, but it is spelled ER in Rotary. But the Learning Center is there and has a vast number of things that you can do. And I'm going to ask our administrator, Pat Bond, to send you something that used to be printed each time. It's called Rotary Basics. And it's a brochure that will send it to you, and it gives you a whole outline of Rotary. I've used it many times when I was when I joined Rotary in the first few years. So I'm really going to encourage you. The Rotary.org, My Rotary, Google it, My Rotary, and just open up your account. Start your account. It's very simple. And then you can get into the Rotary Learning Center. And this, as I say, will help you immensely. You'll learn a lot. They have videos and other things there that you can learn. And when you go to the learning and development page, you can put learning and development, you'll see it'll tell you all about the positions in the club, give you an idea what each one of those does, gives you ideas what the world does at the world level for Rotary. And last one there is conferences and international conventions. And May 14th and 15th, we have our virtual district conference. And you're welcome to join. It's free. We have some great speakers there. We unfortunately could not have it last year. It was the year that the district was going to have it while I was district governor out in Harrison Hot Springs. So it was the best conference that never was. But we're having some speakers from that conference, and we're hoping that you'll join us. Some of the speakers are Linda McGowan, who's a Rotarian. I think she was a Rotarian. She travels the world on her own, and then she has multiple sclerosis, so she travels by wheelchair. She actually made it to the base camp of Everest. She'll talk about her journey. And we have a Peace Scholar joining us, and we have two people from our district who got scholarships to become Peace Scholars. And this is where Rotary provides money, $25,000 a year, to help students get their master's degree in peace studies. And some of them work all around the world. So there are many good speakers at the conference. I really encourage you to attend. There are also opportunities. I'll talk about the first 2 a little later, but I just want to bring them up to you. These are available to you. They're action groups. They're very specific topics they deal with. One, as I mentioned, multiple sclerosis. One is peace. One is endangered species. A number of these, and I'll go through these a little later in more detail. Fellowship groups. These are friendly groups based on personal interests, and I'll talk about that a little later. We have polio national immunization days. You can go on a trip when we are allowed to travel again, to go on a trip to immunize children in other countries. Now, I know there are a few people on here who've been around Rotary. I haven't been on one of those trips yet. Has anyone been on that trip? One of those? No? Okay. So anyway, what you do is you go in, and we've gone a lot to, some of our members gone a lot to Ethiopia. And provided immunization to many, many children there. We have vocational training teams. This is an opportunity for someone you may know who's in a specific profession to go to another country to help that country out. 1 year, I think it was Port Moody or Port Coquitlam, combined with our club and went to Peru. The whole team was based on healthcare providers. So they trained people in Peru how to care for healthcare providers and how to look after themselves. And they went to some remote villages. It was fascinating. And I mentioned earlier, there are local projects that you can do and international projects. In my example, I have is one that Karen Stanton has worked so hard on. We helped build a library in a school in Peru. It was so successful that when she went down there, because she spent 3 years in Peru, they had a parade for her. And all big in the town, a big opening. So now we're working on them. We have another global grant to do 10 libraries. So we're working on that right now. Great opportunity to work around the world. I've mentioned this Rotary Foundation. It's actually, I refer it to not a donation, it's a contribution. It's actually an investment. We put money in, we get it back. I'm going to stop here for a moment. Is there any questions so far? Some people may not. Okay, feel free. Now, District 5050 is the district that we're in. It covers, as I mentioned, from Hope West to Port Moody down to Everett, etc. We have a district governor. Currently, that's Carol Tickleman. We have a district board of directors, which Dennis Boyd is on as a membership chair. We have an advisory council, which is all the past district governors. You don't know what to do with past district governors, so they put them all in a little council and keep them happy. We have a number of committees at the district level, and these committees are there to help every club, every Rotarian in District 5050. That's their main goal. Dennis has been working hard on membership and trying to increase our membership in the district, help each club get members. And this is just one of the ways we're trying to do that. We usually do this in person, usually in Surrey, BC, at our district training assembly. We can't meet in person. We have a public image committee that will help your club improve its public image. And so you can go to them and say, hey, I'd like to know how we can do this. Maybe increase our social media, make a better Facebook page, whatever it is, maybe advertising your fundraiser. All of these are there. We have training days. This is part of the training. This is organized through our training committee led by past district governor Rod Thompson. Foundation from Coquitlam? No. I'm trying to think which one Malcolm Kennedy is. He is our chair of our foundation. And the foundation there is to help distribute money to people who wish to do local projects and also help them with their international projects. They're all there to help you and your fellow members and your club. We also have a youth committee, and we have a Rotary Youth Exchange, which takes in students who are anywhere from grade 10 to grade 12, coming from other countries and living with us for a year with some host families, usually 3 or 4 host families. They go to school and they're here for a year and they go back. And we send out students from our district. If your club is interested, we send them out to other countries, whether it's Brazil, Argentina, UK, Germany, Japan, Korea, all over the world. This is a great opportunity for students in your community to get such an international training. And this is what some of the things that District 5050 does, looks after. As I mentioned, some of them, we actually have to work with insurance and all of these things we look after. And training. Now I'm going to stop here for a moment because I passed the point where someone else is going to introduce Robin about getting the most out of Rotary. And Robin Curtis joined about 2 years ago, Robin? 2.5, something like that. And I'll introduce her to how she actually joined. She came to a Rotary meeting. She stood at the door and we had greeters at the door and they said, "Can I help you?" And he says, "Well, I just came here to find out what this is about." The greeter said, "Oh, I know just what to do." Took her over to, at that time, a member, Carol Tickleman, who's now district governor, and said, "Here's someone who's just interested in Rotary. Well, welcome. Sit down. And that's her start. I'm going to turn it over to you, Robin, to tell what happened next and what you've done, because she's done extremely amount of work in Rotary. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Brad. Yes, I understand that most people are invited. I just invited myself, so I made it awkward for them to send me away. As Brad said, I'm very grateful to have received the vaccine yesterday, but I'm ever so slightly delirious. So if I wander off, just bear with me. It's a little bit of a fever, but it means it's working. So I'll just tell you my experience, and everybody's going to be coming to Rotary with a different goal or reason for joining Rotary, but I'll just tell you mine.
Excuse me for a moment, Robin. Can everyone see Robin, or are they looking at my slide?
Yeah, we're looking at your slides. If you stop sharing screen, we can see her better.
I'll stop sharing.
And
Okay,
then you
Robin.
can put her on speaker view and away you go.
There you go.
I think I preferred the smaller view, but I'll go with it. So I guess I have to speak to, I joined when we could all meet. So when we can meet together, my suggestion is to go to as many meetings as you can. I know there'll be days where you're like, just driving there, you know, stopping what you're doing in the middle of whatever you're doing for the day. But I found when I'd go to the meetings, I'd always learn something that I thought the speaker, maybe it was interesting to me or maybe not. But when I got there, I always found it phenomenal. The programs were always great. I also made sure that every time I went for ours is at lunch, that I made sure I switched tables every time I sat down. So I got a chance to get to know everybody. So, because you find that comfort zone, but then you don't, we have 140 people in our group, Brad, is that correct? Yeah, so there are a lot of people. You sat next to someone and found out they were Speaker of the House. You know, it's just, you've got to know these backgrounds that you'd never guessed when you sat down next to someone. I don't know if everybody's club does who's who. It's very stressful. You have to give your presentation of your life, but I recommend putting all you can into that, because it was really a moment where everybody in the club got to know you, and it made such a difference in I found my relationships with people that were in the club, because they really got to know who you are and where you're coming from. So a lot of people after my who's who would come up and say, I've had the same experience, and then there was a real connection. I would also, so one thing that our Rotary always says is say yes when you know you should. They're all about yes. And I've carried that with me. Is sometimes they ask you to do things and my initial response is, oh man, I have so much other work to do, but I try to say yes when I can, because I find it so valuable. I was asked to do interviews with the high schoolers for scholarships. And that was such an eye-opening experience for me, and I got to know the other people that were doing the interviews, but we got to interview all the different high schoolers up for scholarships. And I realized, I don't know why these kids aren't in the smoke pit, but they are certainly not. There's an interesting, and it gives me hope for the future seeing these kids. We also have a huge book sale. I think we have the second largest book sale in the country. So we go and sort donated books. It's our largest fundraiser for our club. And as much as when I first thought, okay, we're sorting through dusty books, but that's where we've really formed friendships. So if you have a project in your area where you can come together, we do it now distantly. Obviously, we have to stay at a distance and keep each other safe. But if you can find a way to do something still, even in this time, it'll really form bonds between the members. We also are packing, food for Starfish backpack programs, which is foods for families in our area that don't have food for the week. And that's another one that we can do distantly. So we're feeling, a lot of us have said that Rotary has actually gotten us through the pandemic because we feel like we have a purpose, even for those of us who, jobs have disappeared, and it's a way to feel like you can somewhere to go, also somewhere to go, and you can see someone you're not related to. The other thing I find with Rotary is they're very open to new ideas. So what I've found is if you have a new idea, my Rotary anyway is very open to, hey, I have an idea, can we try it? And they'll all back you up to try it. So just propose it. Everybody's coming with different backgrounds and different experience. So they may never have thought of doing something that you've done in a workplace. So for example, we were just planning to do a citywide cleanup in conjunction with other Rotaries in town. We were also going to do a rib fest. Unfortunately, coronavirus has messed with that. But just come up with the ideas, and you'll usually, you have a group of people who are paying to be volunteers. So you usually have people there to have your back. So yeah, I think the more involved you get, the more you'll enjoy Rotary. So as Brad said, the more you put in you'll get out far more than you put in.
Thank you, Robin. That was great.
My pleasure.
And that's one of the reasons I asked Robin. She showed up on her own, and I don't think we had to ask her. She just jumped in. So with both feet and doing the events. And so I think it's very, very important that if you're new to Rotary, you get involved right away. Even during this pandemic times, find a way to connect with one another. And that's what Rotary is really about. It's about fellowship. It started that way. As you may know, Paul Harris started Rotary. He found 3 other people in Chicago who he could trust. And they added another one the next week. And they started the whole thing because of fellowship and friendship. And they developed this. And that was 1905. And so the first official project they did was put in a public washroom in downtown Chicago so people would stay downtown and continue shopping. The unofficial one is, I think they bought a horse for the local doctor so they could make house calls, but I haven't got that confirmed yet. So thank you, Robin, very much. And I see that our District Governor Carol has joined us. Sorry we missed you earlier, but would you just like to say a few words, District Governor?
Thank you, Past District Governor Brad. Sorry I'm late. I had issues at work. Life gets in the way of Rotary sometimes. And I just want to thank you all for attending the session tonight and for your service in Rotary. I was supposed to introduce Robin tonight, and sorry, Robin, I wasn't there to do it, but I first met that amazing young woman on September the 28th, 2018, when she showed up at a Rotary Club meeting in Chilliwack because she'd moved to the community and wanted to get involved. And we had an amazing guest greeter program at our club. The guest greeter met Robin, brought her over to me, and I met one of the most amazing young women I've ever met in my life, and had the privilege to connect with her right after the meeting. Brought her to Rotary for the next few weeks, got to know her, and I had the privilege of sponsoring her when she was inducted into the club on November the 9th. And the best thing you can do is sponsor somebody into Rotary. I know the best day of my life was when I was invited to join Rotary, and I said yes. And thank you all for saying yes and for your service to your clubs. So Brad, sorry to interrupt your program in the middle of it.
That's fine. Welcome. Glad to see you. I'm glad I'm not in the tax business. Can you see the screen again? Okay, great. Just continuing this, there's one thing I'd like to point out on the slide. That's the Rotary Leadership Institute. It's leadership, but it's really a learning institute. And I would encourage every one of you that when we get this going again, is that you go to one of these things. We've had 2 different styles. One is it's on a Saturday, and you take in part 1, and another later time you take part 2 and part 3. You get to meet Rotarians throughout the district, especially those in the Learning Institute. You say, well, I'm new, I should go, which is absolutely correct. But we've had people who've been in Rotary for 33 years who attended and learned something from those institutes. We've tried something new. We had actually Friday night and Saturday to do all 3 sessions at once. So if you see this coming up, I'd really encourage you to attend the Rotary Leadership Institute. It is a number of sessions that you go through, discuss. It's facilitated by by a number of very experienced Rotarians, and you'll learn a lot from it. And you'll get the feeling of fellowship throughout the district from them. We've actually had two deans of that in Dennis and Carol, and it is an amazing process. Okay, I don't seem to be able to advance. Oh, there we go. I talked about youth. There are many opportunities for youth in our club or in our district and in Rotary. I talked about Rotaract and Interact. There's something called RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. These are for usually for, in our district, 18 to 30-year-olds. We have, I think there's a virtual one going to happen this year. And we usually have it in the Bible camp near Mount Baker for 2 or 3 days, 3 days. And people have come back to us. 25-year-old waiter in our, it served us at a Rotary Club wedding. And she said, came back, said it changed my life. And this is what happens when you start with youth. The Rotary Adventure, the Youth Adventures Leadership called Yale. It's for 15 to 18-year-olds. You go there and you hear the same story. And one of the things I want to emphasize is that when you help a youth and help them in their lives and understanding and get them going, it lasts for their whole life. And what happens is, it's just not their life that's impacted. It's their friends. Later on, if they have families, it's their workplace. So Rotary helps youth through these programs that not only make them a better citizens, but make their relationships with others better too. So I'd really encourage you to get to learn more about the youth side of things. Public image, I've mentioned before. We have a Peace Arts Journal, which you should be getting each month. A lot of stories in there about what's happening in the district. We use a lot of social media. And these are just some of the ways you can do this. And go to our district website, District 5050, and you'll get ideas of what's happening in the district. And you can connect with other clubs. There may be someone even in your own area. And District 5050 is divided up into 12 areas. And we have an assistant governor to help those clubs in each area. Al is one, and Al has a large group, and he's Port Moody out to Haney, and there's about 6 or 7 clubs there, and he helps them because the district governor can't be everywhere at once, and sometimes the assistant governor really knows much more about the clubs than district governor. I say that because I was an assistant governor in the Abbotsford Mission area. Now, this is one of the things I wanted to mention to you, Rotary Action Group. And these are very specific topics. They're usually involved in experts in particular fields. I mentioned some here. I belong to the Peace Action Group. And one of the tasks there that we help with, and we work with mediators beyond borders, and that is, an example is when we're in Kenya, there are battles and people being killed between tribes in Kenya. And what happened was, it was an economic thing. Some has cows, they get stolen, and then there ends up in this conflict. So the project was to help them talk to one another, but also to improve in animal husbandry, improve their cows. So they're better healthy, they have more cows, they'd be healthier cows, so they can look after, economically look after their own villages. So looked at a number of ways of doing this. And this is just one example. And they offer the very much technical expertise. I believe District Governor Carroll is on the Water and Sanitation Rotary Action Group. Dennis, I think you're involved with a couple as well. Which ones are you involved with, Dennis?
Same one as Carol. That's the main one right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So water and sanitation.
Right.
Again, putting a number of projects looking after wells and also sanitation, because we found out you can't just put in a well. You have to make sure they can take care of it. But if you don't have sanitation next to it, there's no use having good water. So we combine the two there. That's a very, very large group. So these help communities all around the world. That's one thing I want to emphasize. When you join Rotary, you actually join every club around the world. You can go to any club in the world. And I would encourage you that when you go and you have your Rotary pin on your collar or sweater or shirt is you wear it when you travel. And go to a Rotary Club and visit them and see what they're like anywhere in the world. I have done that, and others have done that. And actually, when I was in Kenya, I went to go to, on business, I went to go to the Kakamega Rotary Club. They joined in met in my hotel. So I went and no one showed up. And I found out that Al-Shabaab, which is one of the terrorist groups, had been bombing places in Kenya. So they decided not to come, and it was a safety issue. But anywhere you go, it's amazing experience. Here's some areas of focus that I mentioned. All of these you can join, and different action groups to help these out. We've increased our areas of focus. We used to have 6, we now have 7, in protecting the environment. And all of these you can get global grants to work anywhere in the world with. This is the one that I belong to. This is an endangered species. And a little story behind this one is that these are orphans. In Indonesia, there's such a call for palm oil in the world that in Indonesia, they're just taking out all the natural habitat and planting palm trees. So this displaces the species that are there, and orangutans are there. So they either protect the young or they get moved away and they die. So we're helping this and save this particular species. That was my particular interest. So it just gives you an example. Here's WashRag, Water and Safety Rotary Action Group. Shows the providing of clean water and also how to actually wash your hands correctly, which means washing in between your fingers at the same time, as we now know from COVID. There's fellowship groups, and these groups have a common passion, they have an interest, make it fun, you make friends from around the world, you explore your interests. And they go anywhere from amateur radio to yoga. This was a new one I hadn't come across, bathhouse. I'm not quite sure what that one is about. Beer, golf, gourmet cooking, and you have 89 of these groups. For example, there's one on beer, wine, scotch, and rum. So you can connect with someone in France about wine, someone in California, anywhere around the world. There's also fellowship groups that are very active. There's cycling, fishing, hiking, and skiing. Can you imagine going to Switzerland, meeting fellow Rotarians there and going skiing with them? That's what you can do in your connection on these groups. This is what I want to make sure that you get the most out of Rotary. You have this at your fingertips. All you have to do is, I would suggest, is just Google the action groups or Google the Rotary fellowship groups, and you'll find them all. There's one on RVing. There's one on motorcycling. And let me tell you, that's a great motorcycle, Al. That's my Kawasaki Vulcan Nomad. Al has a Honda. And you can have house exchange. Now, I can't guarantee you that's the house you'll get on your house exchange, but you do have house exchange. Can you imagine exchanging somewhere with someone in South Africa, some in Korea, France, anywhere, Brazil? You have these opportunities at your fingertips. And as I say, I want you to get advantage of this, get the most out of Rotary. You've joined a wonderful organization. You have people very dedicated to making a difference in the world. That's one of the reasons people continue to stay in Rotary, is making a difference. And the other reason is because of its fellowship. And so my last slide is, again, asking your question, why did you join Rotary? What is your passion? One of the reasons I went through a lot of these and asking you to look at more through the fellowship groups or action groups is find out what your passion is. You already have it, and you just find somewhere where you can indulge in that passion. And you can find it in Rotary. And Rotary will make a difference in your life. It will change your life as it's changed mine. So I thank you for joining us. And I see we have a question from Danielle.
So Brad, maybe you can stop sharing as well when you do that.
Oh, okay.
Questions?
Is that done?
Yes.
Just a comment to follow up on the travel and hosting and the going to meetings in other countries. When I travel, I have done that many times, and I, as Brad said, highly encourage you to do that. But Brad, that house that you had up, I think we should just have our district conference there one year. I think it's big enough we could all share.
Thank you, Danielle. It just reminded me in travel, there's a story of a true story. This couple that were in an airport and they're standing there waiting, and a young woman came running up and says, "Can you look after my bags? Thanks." And she had to run to the washroom. And the couple said, "What is this woman doing? This is not right. We're gonna have to talk to her." She came back out of the washroom and they were about to tell her, "This is not a good thing to do." So she came back out and said, "Thank you very much. I knew I could trust you with my baggage because I saw your Rotary pin. My dad is a Rotarian." And so that's the little story of impact on Rotary and what people think of Rotary throughout the world. Any other questions or comments? Haven't put you to sleep yet? Okay. Any comments from you, PDG Dennis?
Brad, thanks very much, and welcome to all of you. It's good to see you all here. When Brad was governor last year, one of his goals was to make sure new members were given this sort of opportunity to know that the world of Rotary is so big, and there's so much you can explore. And going to My Rotary will open up the Learning Center for you. And if there's anything in Rotary you're interested in, they've got it all there. You can study it at your leisure. But Robin really nailed it, I think, when she talked about her club and getting involved. In our club in Coquitlam, the people who are most enthusiastic about being Rotarians are the ones who roll up their sleeves and get out and help. We did a shredding event recently, and there were a whole bunch of us safely distanced from each other there, and we got completely slammed. I think people in Coquitlam have not shredded for 25 years, and they brought everything there to us. We filled 3.5 trucks full of stuff and made a few $1,000s, but we had a great time. And now we have another project where we're getting people out to called Rotary Rush, where we're going to get our Rotarians out walking and running around for a month in May and pledging, and they're just getting all excited because we've all been so caught on the screen here. Now we get a chance to sort of rub shoulders at a distance. So I'm hoping that you will find an opportunity in your club to go and do whatever they're trying to do. And if they're not doing much, get them to do something, because your health in Rotary has everything to do with what Robin talked about, getting involved. One of the things I liked about Brad's presentation is that many Rotarians that have been around a while like us don't know much about Rotary. And we talk about public image, going out and telling the world about Rotary. We don't know much about it ourselves. So once we know more, which you do now, thanks to Brad, if somebody asks you a question, you can give them a little more background. And I think that's very helpful. So I just want to mention that. I hope you stay involved. If you're in business, come next week and we'll have our last membership Wednesday, where I'm going to talk about our business directory. It's called Rotary Networking Plus Business Directory. And we're trying to get as many Rotarians to list their businesses there so that we can support each other and get our members to do business with Rotarians. Because who better to do business with? Because the more money we make in our businesses, the more we can donate to the Rotary Foundation and do good in the world. I mean, there's a cycle of some sort there, I think. So you're certainly welcome to join us next week, or you can just go to the site and add in. And Brad, I think it would be good to give Al just a moment or two to talk a bit about some of his ideas as an assistant governor. Al's an excellent assistant governor, and he has all kinds of basic suggestions, but maybe you'll just get him to give us a thumbnail sketch of what he'd tell you as new members. And let's see if he echoes what we've already heard.
Thank you very much, Dennis. I just had, before I go there, Robin had her hand up.
Oh,
Were you waving?
yes, great. I actually forgot to add one more thing for the new Rotarians. Rotary has taken on this year climate change as one of the things that Rotary is to tackle, which sounds daunting, but with 1.2 million Rotarians, one of them I think is Bill Gates, I feel like we could do something. So if you in your area, it's a passion of mine, it may not be yours, but it is something that as Rotarians, I feel like we could move the needle on.
Thank you, Robin.
I don't know how to keep my hand down.
Al, you have a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Dennis, for putting me on the spot. Much appreciated. I'm the technical host tonight. But I will throw a few comments out there. I've been a Rotarian for 16 years. I think it's very much improved my life. From the point of view, I've met lots of great people. And my attitude in the club is to raise my hand, to say yes where I can, to help out where I can, to lead a project if I can, or to be a member in a project. It doesn't really matter to me. But you do get involved in things. The caution is do know what you're passionate about. So raise your hands on some things you're passionate about. And if someone asks you to do something and you're not really that passionate about it, maybe you can give it a pass. It's okay, right? It's okay to say no, but it's better to say yes about the things you're passionate about. And as you go through Rotary too, life gets in the way, family, work, other things. And I tell people who are getting hard on themselves that once in a while, it's okay to take a Rotary vacation as well, right? So if you're getting burnt out a bit, you've just had a big project, you worked on something and it's gone really well, and you're a little bit tired, maybe book a couple of weeks off of a Rotary. Take some time off, go enjoy your family and friends, get re-energized, and come back to your club. So treat it like something you like to do. Because if you start feeling like you don't like to do it, just take a little break and focus on the things that are your passion. And it turns out well, you meet lots of people. I think I've met 300 or 400 Rotarians in my travels around the world now. A lot of them are friends, and I really enjoy hanging out with them. So it's been a great experience for me. I do thank you all for coming out today, especially the 4 from my home club in Port Moody. Great to see you out, but everybody else as well. Thanks very much. Back to you, Brett.
Thank you, Al. Thank you very much. Al is a very hardworking assistant governor in that area. Carol, District Governor Carol, you had your hand up.
And I might be repeating something that had been covered earlier, but when we are able to meet in person, we hope to continue these new member orientations. We probably will do some virtually for those that want to attend them virtually, but we were initially started them last Rotary year in person by area. So it gave you an opportunity to meet other fellow Rotarians in your area and realize that Rotary is bigger than just your club. And there's probably a fabulous reason why you joined your club, but dip your toe into Rotary outside your club, because it will provide you incredible opportunities. And I echo the comments that have been made by others that I've gotten way more out of Rotary than I've ever given since I joined in 1992. As Brad mentioned, the value of that Rotary pin on your lapel when you're traveling. You wouldn't believe the number of times I've gone to give a border guard my Nexus card, and they said, "That's okay, I trust you. I saw your Rotary pin." It really is amazing the power of the value of being a Rotarian and what it can offer you. The new area of focus is not climate change, it's supporting the environment. As district governor, I have to be a little bit of the Rotary police, although there isn't Rotary police, but so it's supporting the environment. Of course, there are climate change aspects to that in the area of focus area. Danielle, I want to thank you. Danielle's here at a new member session, but definitely not a new member. Did you mention earlier how many RI conventions you've been to?
Oh, no, I think it's now 10.
Okay, I've got you. I'm at 11, but yeah, Danielle is also been co-chair for a number of years of our district friendship exchange. And when we're able to again travel, quite often we will have an exchange where Rotarians within the district, if they're interested, at their own expense, will travel to another district somewhere in the world. And we exchange Rotary members on just a fun trip where you're hosted by Rotarians in your home country. And Danielle's been a major part of that that initiative in the district over the years. And we hope to get one going when we're able to travel again. And yeah, I encourage you to check out the fellowships and the Rotary Action groups. There's 60 or 70 in each of them. I'm in at least 8 fellowships and 6 or 7 Rotary Action groups, and you meet very amazing people around the world. So enjoy your Rotary ride. I hope you enjoy it half as much as I have. Thank you.
Thank you, DG Carol. I see Penny, you have a question? Can you unmute? Unmute Penny, please.
No, yet not a question really. I'm very new to Rotary, not quite a year, but my whole interaction with Rotary has been so different from what Rotary is by only being able to go to Zoom meetings and that kind of thing. This has been really great to hear about the action groups and the fellowship groups. This was really informative. And yeah, I look forward to the time when we can get together again and feel what it actually really is.
Thank you, Penny. Other questions? Well, just before we go then, I'd just like to just wrap up with 2 things. One is you get so involved in Rotary, and thanks to Dennis Boyd, I was invited to a Zone Institute in Vancouver. And we had the international president there, Suji Kanaka, and I was president of my club at the time. So it was very, very wonderful for me. However, I had a heart issue for many years, and at 1 in the morning it acted up, and I was told when that happens, it's cleared now. It's all fixed now, but I was told that call the ambulance and go to emergency. So I did. So here I am lying on the bed in the emergency room, and I've got electrodes all over my body. I'm hooked up to all these medical screens, and well, they made the mistake of asking me, what are you doing in Vancouver? Well, I'm here for Rotary Convention or Institute. Well, what's that? Well, 10 minutes later, after me explaining to them what Rotary was and how great it was, they said, well, perhaps we should get on with fixing your heart there. So that's how into it I was and still am. And it's a wonderful experience. And I'm going to ask you to not stop here. I'd ask you that you continue this journey of learning more in Rotary, becoming involved. I'm sorry it's through virtual system, but you do have opportunities in your club. Some of your clubs are still working on projects. And I don't want you to just close this Zoom meeting off and say, okay, I've done that, I can go home and forget about it. I'd really like you to ask you and to explore the Rotary world. Look at the action groups, look at the fellowship groups. The fellowship groups are very much fun. And so I really want you to get the most out of Rotary. And that's the whole purpose of this session. So I want to thank you all for joining Rotary. It will change your life. And thank you for coming to this session. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Robin, for contributing. And to you. So with that, if there's no other questions, I will say we'll bring this to a close. Thank you so much. Thank you.